Guys, welcome back. I actually wanted to talk today about something that seems like is a little bit difficult for people to accept and deal with or go through while they're navigating themselves out of a narcissistic relationship. And that is that there's this idea where when you're discarded by somebody who is narcissistic, whether they're actually a classified narcissistic personality disordered person or somebody who is just highly narcissistic but not actually falling into the spectrum of narcissism or cluster B disorder personality disorders. And it's like people have this idea where if I was discarded, it means I wasn't good enough or I wasn't what they wanted me to be, and had I been what they wanted me to be, I would still be with them, or they would have still chosen me over this new supply or this new partner, right? And I'm here to tell you that being discarded is one of the best things that can ever happen to you. It's hard to believe that being discarded is actually a gift, but it is a gift. And we're going to delve into this. And that I'm going to break down exactly why and why it is a gift and why it is something that you want to happen to you rather than be the new supply, and that this new supply source or this new partner isn't somebody to be envied, okay? So you've seen it, you know, or you might have seen it, where the partner moves on, slow fades you, or ends the relationship. And you start asking yourself, like, why wasn't I picked? Why aren't they coming back to me? Did I do something wrong? Here's the truth, though. It's not about you. It was never about you, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, it's never about you. It's about them. And the reason why you ask yourself these questions is because it's a core wound from childhood that keeps getting triggered that you probably don't even know about. It's the feeling of always being left behind. The feeling of not being picked or being picked last. It gets triggered every time you see this narcissist or this narcissistic person pick somebody else over you. And that's why triangulation is such an amazing manipulation tactic when it comes to these kinds of toxic dynamics with these individuals. So like, you might have grown up never being seen, like either by a parent or even in school. You know, you might have gone to school and nobody really thought you were that great because you did your own thing and you were authentic in yourself and you weren't willing to follow the crowd. And that made you stand out and made you kind of look like a loner or somebody that nobody really wanted to pick, you know? Being discarded by a narcissist does not define or is a reflection of your self-worth. And it's not your value. They make you reliant on them so that you do want their recognition to be picked and be valued, okay? They know this. They know that if you feel like you are insecure about being picked last or not being picked and somebody else being picked over you, they're going to use triangulation to make you come back or to make you keep an eye on them. You weren't picked because you're not naive. The new partner was picked because yes, they're a great new source. They're fresh and exciting and interesting, and it's a new person to manipulate and get to know. But it's also because they're naive. They don't know the person that they're dealing with. You do. So they know that, like, if you are not consistent with your behaviors because you know the truth and you know the other side of who they are, why would they want to keep coming back knowing that they're not going to be safe because there's no consistency. If you keep calling them on the mistakes that they're making or making them take accountability for who they are, then they aren't going to want to be around you. But why is that a reflection of who you are? That's a reflection of them. That's a reflection of the fact that they don't want somebody to tell them that they're doing something wrong. They want somebody who's naive and willing to look past all of that and not ever question them, and who's probably very surface level and has no depth to them, in order to maintain that safety net for the narcissist. Like, you weren't picked because you refused to shrink yourself. You weren't picked because you refused to accommodate their toxicity and the way that they're acting towards you and being an ass, and they wanted you to absorb their bad behaviors so that they could feel safe. And you're like, no, like, you're not making me feel safe then in the meantime, it's now coming back to me and I don't feel safe. That's a huge power move on your part. That actually makes you more valuable. Because if they're picking somebody that's not willing to call them on their stuff, that means that person's gonna willing to tough it out and deal with all the toxicity at the expense of who they are, at their expense of their identity being compromised, at the expense of their value system and ethical system being compromised. And it's like, why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't respect themselves or want to hold ethics or morals? It just makes them not want to trust that first person further, because it's like, are you with me because you really just don't want to be alone? Or are you with me because you actually want to know who I am and you actually care about me and you actually want to help me? So if you are willing to say, you know what, like, I'm not going to tolerate this, and you're discarded for it, that's a benefit to you, because you're showing them, this is my standard, and if you can't meet it, then I'm not going to shrink myself and make myself somebody that doesn't respect myself in order to make you feel better in your ego. Here's what a lot of people don't realize, okay? Being a narcissist new supply is not a prize. You didn't win anything. If you're the narcissist new supply, you won being the idiot, the new idiot. And I hate calling the person an idiot, because they're just a victim. They really are just another victim that are getting pulled into this dynamic, right? And it's a trap. They're being trapped, They don't pick you because they see your value. They pick you because you're not emotionally naive and shallow. And it's something to laugh about, because it's like, do you want to be naive and shallow emotionally? Like, you don't want that. You won't question them if you're that way. You won't see through their manipulation. You're a safe target for their ego and a canvas for them to project their negative control onto. Like when something bad happens to them, I'm like, I'm just going to project my negativity onto you and make you the problem. You know what I mean? So like, that's what they want. They want somebody who's willing to be a doormat, and you weren't willing to be the doormat. The reason that they stay away from you is because they know there's no way in. Like, you are not going to tolerate it. So it's like, I'm not going to waste my energy and time trying to get with a source of supply that is not going to validate me, because I know that they know who I am. And they have strong boundaries and strong values. And if they know who I am and that I'm a dud, basically, like, they're duds. They can't genuinely love anyone. So if they can't genuinely love anybody, and you know that, then why are they going to waste their time with somebody that knows that is not going to come back, unless you start giving them these, signals saying like, I miss you, or, you start texting them or calling them accidentally, or you react when they're in your presence. Then they're starting to get this like feedback loop of, oh, Maybe there's still a door open here. Maybe they're willing to look past it all. Maybe they're forgetting about all the bad stuff that happened in the past. No, it's just, they want to see if you're still stupid. That's it. They want to know if you're still stupid. So the person who is picked, they're not lucky. They're not the lucky ones. They're the unlucky ones. They're actually the person that is destined to be destroyed. Why? Because narcissists only have their egos satiated and fulfilled when others are in pain. Bottom line, end story. They need that feedback loop. They need somebody to injure, because pain to them equals influence. Pain to them equals control. Pain to them is so much of a stronger, intense power for them to collect and harvest than somebody being nice to them, because pain is so much harder to deal with, and it's so much harder to siphon from somebody. If you are still hurt over somebody after a relationship ends, it means that that person still has control over you, that they are still an influence in you even after you're gone. You are more likely to remember a painful experience than a good experience. That's why trauma is so embedded inside of our childhood and in our psyche. So that's why they want to make that imprint of being the most painful thing that's ever happened to you, so that you don't forget them, and that you only remember the good times before the pain came, so that they can still make their way back into your life. They need to know they caused hurt, knowing that they can control another person and everyone around it sees it happening. It's the core of their power. So if they're starting a relationship with a new supply, it's because they want to reap the benefits of that other supply's life. They want to get in that car, drive it carelessly, crash it, and then get out and go find the next car. That's what they want to do. They don't care about the new supply. They're just somebody there to fill the void of the I don't want to say depression, because that's not right. Their lack of stimulation. They are so easily bored because they don't get dopamine as easy as somebody who's fulfilled from the inside, right? They need dopamine from the outside. They need somebody to stimulate them from the outside world. They can't get dopamine from inside. So they need stimulation by blowing up people's lives and making their lives miserable, and seeing how those people react to what they've done to their life in order for them to be fed and be like, I have control. So pain is always the outcome. It's never better. It's always worse. So let's flip the script, okay? When you're discarded, that is freedom. You held boundaries. You refused to let go of who you are to make them feel safe, right? You're bringing that energy back to you. You are now focusing on you and what you need to do in your life in order to make your life better than whatever would have been had you been with that person, okay? You said no to being a scapegoat. You refuse to absorb their flaws, their insecurities, their toxicity, and that is strength. They think that they are so amazing and that they are so good in bed and they're so nice to you and they make you feel so good about who you are that they will put you through anything and you will still put up with it and come back. Because they're that good. Why would you ever leave? And they're going to try and convince you that you being alone is worse than you being with them. But really, it's not. Being alone is 10 times better than being with a million times better than being with a narcissist. Let's be honest here. It's not good being with somebody that's just constantly going to tear you down Because over time, your body is now reacting to whatever is happening in your emotional world. Your cortisol spikes, it's coursing through you, it's destroying your organs, it's destroying everything inside of your body. This is why people can come down with autoimmune diseases and heart conditions and all these other things, because the narcissist has trained their body to destroy itself. They have the ability to make your emotions turn inward to destroy yourself. The longer you are with somebody in a narcissistic dynamic, the more you are doomed to be damaged physically because of your body reacting to the emotions of the stress of dealing with this person. That's why when some people get out of relationships with narcissists, they actually get better, healthy. Like their body actually starts to readjust because they're no longer in this chaotic state of like needing to fix this person and explain themselves and diffuse all these like emotions and regulate them, because they're only having to regulate themselves. They're not having to regulate anyone else, except maybe their children, but that's it. So that's self-respect. You refusing to jump into that dynamic is self-respect. It's power. You have power. And you're taking it back. And here's the kicker. The more you try and make them, the more they try and make you feel less than, the more it actually proves your worth. Because you weren't destroyed by them. They're pissed off. Because when they are with the scapegoat and you're not reacting to anything about this new supply being in their life, you're refusing to be triangulated, you're refusing to jump into this dynamic again, and you're living your best life, and you're getting that great career, and you're getting those kids that you've always wanted, with that partner that you've always wanted, and you're living in that house that you've always wanted, and you're getting that car that you've always wanted, and all of those successful accomplishments that you've always wanted. They're like, had I just stuck around, they wouldn't have gotten any of this. I would have had it all. They want to destroy it so you never have any of that. They don't care about wasting your time. They don't care about hurting people around you. It's about them. They're insecure that you are doing better after they're gone, because they're hoping that you're going to continually destroy your life, worrying about what happened and why that didn't work out, and you have to move on. And so because you weren't destroyed by them, you walked away, and your self-worth is intact. Your identity is intact. You're no longer having to bend your identity to fit into their mold. You are bending it to your mold, that of what it's supposed to be. And that's something that the new supply can't claim, because eventually the narcissist just turns that person into the next emotional casualty. You might ask yourself, why is it lasting for so long with them? Well, because that person's probably really shallow and is willing to not question them, because they lack so much self-worth in themselves that they will accommodate the narcissist no matter what is thrown at them. But you were like, I'm getting hurt, I don't want this. And they're like, the hell with you then. I'm going to go find somebody that will tolerate it. Okay, well then go be somebody else's dumpster. Go find another dumpster. So if you're watching this and you're feeling less than because somebody else was picked out over you, just stop. Take a deep breath. That is their problem, not yours. Feel bad for them. Feel bad that they don't have the self-respect to leave. Feel bad that they don't have the self-respect to know what's happening. Because you were there once upon a time. You didn't know. Because you probably thought that this person was just broken and just wanted somebody to understand them. And now they've moved on because you've realized that no, they do want to be broken. Because then that draws in fuel for them to the next victim. You weren't chosen because you want a real whole person. That's why. They want a puppet, and you're not a puppet. You refuse to be that. And that's exactly why you're free and why they fear your boundaries. They want to bulldoze over your boundaries, maybe like your parents did. Maybe you were parentified and your parents are like, no, you can't hold boundaries. Like, you need to be what I need you to be in order to be loved by me. Or you need to, or like somebody never modeled boundaries to you either. That could be another reason why. Just remember, like, being discarded is not rejection. It's liberation. It's proof that you refuse to compromise your self-worth. And anyone who comes after you, anyone who sees you thriving, it scares the narcissist more than they will ever admit. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to find something else. They want you to be miserable with them. So, if you found this helpful, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Share with anyone who needs to hear this. And subscribe for insights into narcissistic dynamics, emotional intelligence, and reclaiming your power. And remember that your worth is not measured by anyone else but you. It's not measured by anybody who chooses you. It is measured by how fiercely you can hold on to yourself. That's it. If you can hold on to yourself, then you are stronger and more powerful than they'll ever be, no matter what supply they are with next. Have a good one.